Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. Officials and newsmen at first discounted those eyewitness descriptions as being beyond belief. However, the reports persisted.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Greetings, mortals. I present to you Sir Charles and Mr. Dave.
Mr. Dave.
Mr. Dave.
Excellent. I love it.
Charles, how are you, brother?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Not too shabby. I finally got a nap in today.
Hey.
Took forever. For those of you that don't know, like I had my daughter today, and like she's got up super early this morning, and which meant I had to get up super early this morning.
Man.
But I did get a nap in. So.
Man, I wish I could have got a nap in. I've been exhausted like all day. No particular reason, just super exhausted all day.
All right.
So if I yawn tonight, it's not in any offense to anybody.
Yeah, no.
Just I'm tired.
So
okay.
We got a really cool show tonight about the Amityville horror, the murders and stuff like that, which we'll get into later. But first, do you have anything happen to you this week? Anything good?
Let's see. This week, well, I went and saw the new Doctor Strange movie last night. Really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. Sam Raimi is, what's up, Josh? Sam Raimi is just one of my favorite directors.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell his hands were all over this movie. Like, there were so many classic Sam Raimi shots that he put into the movie that are like it's the Evil Dead style of filming.
Yeah.
In not a lot of the scenes, but in several scenes of Doctor Strange. And it was fantastic. It was really good. I think it's probably one of my favorite installments. And
nice.
Two things, I'm not going to say what they are, two things that I had predicted for this movie actually were true. So I was really happy going into the movie that, like, and they were proven pretty fast too, so I was really happy.
That's cool.
Let's see what else.
Now, I've seen some of the shots from that movie, like the CG and stuff look really good.
It is.
I think they really used the Real Engine.
I don't know what they used, but it's
or the Unreal Engine.
I knew what you meant. I don't know what they used exactly. I know we stayed for the credits for the ending credit scenes, and it listed like all the types of stuff, but I wasn't paying that close attention. No, it was great. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna watch it again. I didn't hate it. There were some things that I wish that would have been in the movie that were in the movie, but you can't win them all. So I will say I did work yesterday as well before the movie, so I'm a little tired from that. Got some nice sun because I was outside all day, but that's okay.
A little dehydrated?
Not really. I mean, no. I chugged a Powerade and I drank like a bottle of water for I was out in it for probably about 4 or 5 hours is what it was.
Right.
And man, I think that's why I'm so sore. Or not.
I don't know if you got dehydrated with the golfers or anything, but
not really. I was driving a golf cart around all day.
No, you probably can't get dehydrated at work.
No.
That sucks. But it is what it is. I mean, nobody can really do that unless you're a professional dehydrator. But
nope, not my thing.
I mean, I've done it. It's kind of fun.
It was the worst though. It was like the beginning of the shift, the keg was flat, so I had to go back and change the keg out, which is not light at all. It was heavy as shit. And then the cart broke down on me too. So I had to get a different one to it was a full on, like the first 2 hours just sucked royally for this shit.
One thing after another.
Oh yeah, and it was like if I'd finally get to people like, man, you've been slacking off this entire time. I was like, no, I've been stranded, I promise.
You're like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've been stranded this entire time. Jeez. Cassie, good to see you. Lori,
hello,
good to see you.
Lori, good to see you.
I'm enjoying the decent weather too. I will say it was 95, 98, something up here. And if there was no wind yesterday, I would have been dying. The wind was helping a lot yesterday.
Yeah, we played outside all all weekend. So
Oh yeah, as a must. But other than that, I don't think anything outstanding has
Hello,
happened.
Kelly.
But yeah, hey Kelly, how about you, bud?
honestly, nothing outstanding. My tires still haven't come in. I've been
Okay.
waiting over a week on those now.
Grand.
So
Yeah, that's what you want.
went ahead and canceled my order. So now I got to find a place that actually has my size tires.
Fayetteville,
but-
or not Fayetteville, just some town close to you.
Yeah.
What sides are there? I'm curious.
235, 70, 16s.
Good. I was gonna say if there were 17s, you're screwed.
16s, you're screwed. 16's the standard size for trailers and small cars and small SUVs and shit.
That sucks.
Mhm.
Well, the reason why I said 17s, 17s are super expensive.
Yeah, and I mean the ones that I found that people are carrying are no bigger than the 205s. I need the wider.
That's good.
But anyway, outside of that, pretty much nothing. I've just been being a dad this week, and
Well, I'm gonna ask you this: you haven't investigated since McIntyre, have you? Have you investigated?
Yeah.
Okay, so
May 1st I did an investigation.
have you had any weird things happening around your place at all? No, no weirdness, nothing crazy.
No, just John.
Just that is pretty weird. I'll give you that. That is pretty weird. Yeah.
No, that's pretty
pretty
much
out
it.
there.
There hasn't been anything weird. I mean, I'm not going to go into anything that happened at Stone Lion, but you know, I don't think anything would have followed me from there. Or
I was just curious.
so
I haven't had anything weird here. I'm just like curious.
maybe Mars is in retrograde, and you know, with the moon only being half a
Dude.
moon, it's
The funniest thing about that is a friend of mine actually, because I said something about being tired. He's like, "You're tired because Mars is in retrograde and something's in Uranus." I'm like, "What?" I was like, "That makes no sense." And then he just listed off a bunch of other things like that. I was like, "That's perfect. That was a nice correlation there." That works out
No,
very well.
that stuff cracks me up. I know there's a lot of people that believe that stuff, so you know, no offense.
Yeah, no. Hey, if you believe in it, whatever. It was a funny.
Still
joke.
gonna make fun of it.
Yeah.
I'll
us
make
have
fun
to
of stuff I
subscribe.
believe in too. So
Yeah, it's okay.
No big-
Mercury's in rising. Whatever that means. Anyways, no, it was a good week though.
Good burst of sage.
Yeah, exactly.
Sandalwood.
Sage.
Get out, evil!
Why don't you burn your fingertip and swallow
Get out
it
of here,
around?
you evil spirit!
Yeah, exactly.
Make me
But I've
say
been
this thing.
I've been wanting
Look,
to investigate really bad.
We lost a viewer because we were making fun of it.
I don't care. They probably just got tired of our bantering.
Probably. Like, just get to the damn point, guys.
Get on with it.
Before we do, guys, if you want to jump into the Patreon, links right there, patreon.com/Boogeyman Radio. It's not expensive at all. Most people charge you like $5. I've seen some charging like $20-something a month for Patreon. We're not even touching any of that. So if you're gonna jump on there, now's the best time because we got some dirt that's gonna be on tonight's After Dark show.
Yeah.
So
We'll
just
hear
for
from
our
somebody
Patreons.
specific to this case.
Oh yeah, we got some awesome video to show you guys for that. Some really interesting stuff, but it is involving the Amityville horror. So jump over there, catch what we don't talk about here over on there. Also, if you catch this on the aftermath after the recording, be sure to subscribe. Subscribe and like. Get the bell for notifications for every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Time.
Which, speaking of, next Tuesday I will not be here. So I don't know if we're going to either have a show or not have a show, but I will not be anywhere where there is internet. So unfortunately,
Yeah.
I will not be here.
We can figure it out. Maybe I'll get a hold of a special guest host.
There you go. You guys can banter on and do whatever.
I'm going to name him Charles
That'd be funny.
for the show,
That'd be funny as heck.
or her even.
I have known some Charlies that are out there that are females, so.
I can't think of one right now, but I was going to say Charlize Theron, but it's not Charlie Theron.
Doesn't count, Dave.
Charlize
Hey, we
Theron.
lost 2 people.
Yeah,
And 3 people.
we're going down.
We're losing it. We're losing everybody. Oh, no. But everybody's
Hey, we
like,
gotta
oh,
get this
fuck
stuff
this.
out right
Yep.
now.
Yep. I'm going to try and stay awake. Thanks,
You're going to
Cassie.
want to stay awake for this one. Also, guys, this October, the Haunting History Paracon in Joplin, Missouri is happening. It's a place to be. We got live music from Josh Hurd of Malvern Manor, Randall Shreve as well. We're doing a guest speaker list, and then we also have a psychic gallery reading. We're also going to try to do a film festival. I haven't gotten any submissions yet, which I'm not surprised. But if we don't do that, we've got an extra investigation. We're going to be setting up. It's not a lot of people's thing, you know? Like, I know. Well, I mean, if you look for paranormal shows on YouTube, it's out there.
See, okay, this thing must be telling us lies because Cassie's still here, Kelly's here, and Lori's here, and it's telling us we have one viewer.
It's telling me we got no viewers.
Now we have 0. Wow, that's weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's telling lies.
But yeah, so if the film festival doesn't happen, we're going to go with another location for an investigation. But those I will be announcing in a couple months.
Yep.
Let this thing breathe a little bit. But yeah, Joplin, Missouri. You can go to facebook.com/haunting history, find the event there. But also, you can go to hauntinghistoryparacon.com.
Is that it?
So many names I've got to remember. Hauntinghistoryparacon.com. You get all the information. You can also get your tickets from there. And yeah, so there's that.
Josh is here too. Boom.
Cool. Also, be sure to hit the Haunting History stores, hauntinghistory.threadless.com. Get you some merch. Get you a Boogeyman radio tee. All the T-shirts that are on there, they're on the site. You can get different colors for most of them. And yeah. I've got my Haunting History shirt. I love it. Now,
I need to get me a Boogeyman radio shirt.
Yeah, since I literally adjusted the image on that so it comes out better. I need to order another one just to make sure, but I think it's going to come out fine.
That's okay.
But that's okay.
So, are we ready for some spooks, haunts, murder, and mystery?
You don't have anything you want to plug, right?
No, I'm good. Not that I know of.
Plug you. What? All right, guys. And now for this. In the early morning hours of November 13th, 1974, one Amityville house in Long Island, New York, became more than a mere suburban home. Instead, it became a ghastly crime scene as Ronald DeFeo Jr. skulked the halls with a rifle and killed his parents and 4 of his siblings in their sleep. He later claimed that there were voices in his head urging him to kill, and some people to this day believe that he was indeed hearing evil spirits. Although DeFeo's grisly crimes were all too real, is it possible that he was actually under the control of evil spirits that inhabited the house and haunted the Lutz family that moved in soon after? So let's explore one of America's most tragic and grisliest crimes, the Amityville Horror. So this story really got some wings, really having the time of my life with that background home.
So, there's a lot of interesting details, not so details, facts, not so facts about this story. This story is literally all over the place. When I was doing research for this story, I even messaged Dave. I was like, hey, what exactly are we going to talk about in the first part of the show? It's like, well, let's concentrate on the facts. And I'm like, the facts? How do we know what are the freaking facts? Because there's so much of so many different details, and there's
a lot of direction to go.
There is, and which he said a very good point is the police reports and stuff like that. So
so that's what we're gonna go with.
But Kelly has a question. Was this dude a known drug user? The 70s were a groovy time.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was.
He actually did, which we'll talk about further on the After Dark show.
Nope.
We've got an interview with him, with Ronald DeFeo Jr., and he does admit that he did drugs.
Now, it's not our interview with him. He's already dead, but it is an interview that somebody got with him while he was still alive. So,
Yes.
came across it. I think you guys would really enjoy it. So, you're going to have to pop on over to the After Dark to see that interview. Just saying.
So the background on the DeFeos is very peculiar.
Very.
And controversial, according to what actually happened at the house. So let's do a generic breakdown of what happened.
Let's start. Yeah.
So on that night, it is said that Ronald DeFeo Jr. went through the house and shot everybody while they were sleeping in bed. Now, when the bodies were found, everybody was in bed, right?
Face down.
Which begs to question, how did nobody wake up with the gunshots?
Yeah. How did the gunshots? Why were they all positioned the same way? Like, the claim is that there was a dog barking, and so he shot when the dog would bark. So apparently that would not wake everybody up. Which
Right.
even then, I'm sorry, if I was the neighbors, I would be able to tell what's the difference between a gunshot and a gun bark. Or a dog bark. Jeez, gun bark. But yeah, it's very mysterious circumstances.
Now, I gotta find where I put my paper. Okay, so there was something I did find out, did deduct from DeFeo himself.
Wow.
So it's known that Ronald DeFeo was beaten growing up, like his father would
Yeah.
beat him.
Yeah, his dad was a physically violent person, and he would drink.
Yeah, he became physically violent. He would go to these bars regularly and get in bar fights,
Hmm.
like all the time. And he even said that he would get beat up, and the next day he would go back for more. Which, I mean, that's the kind of guy he was. I mean, violence was in the family blood.
Yeah.
It was in their nature. Which, if psychologically speaking, if this were to happen to another family or anybody, that's something that they would always look into. Was there a history of violence? And for Ronald DeFeo, yes, there was.
Lori, that's what always bothered me. Why didn't someone wake up? That's right. Like, I don't know. And then Josh has one too, but I don't think it was a 22, man. Wasn't it a shotgun? Or no, it was a rifle. It was a rifle of some sort. But it wasn't a 22. So we've seen some of the crime scene footage or crime scene shots, and those bullet wounds look bigger than a 22.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
I'm trying to pull up the right page to start this off with, because a lot of this talks about the background, like of the family itself.
The DeFeo family.
Yeah. So, okay.
Well, I mean,
so let me start with this.
Okay.
This little piece here. So, in the early evening hours of November 13th of 1974, the patrons of Henry's Bar, which was a local tavern at the corner of Merrick Road and Ocean Avenue in Amityville, chatted while sipping their beers and cocktails. To them, the start of the evening was just like any other night in Amityville, which Amityville was a upper class neighborhood in Brooklyn, basically. I guess I might be wrong, but Brooklyn is part of Long Island, and Amityville is just like a little subdivision or something like that of Brooklyn. So at 6:30 p.m., Ronald DeFeo Jr., known by the locals as Butch, so I'll be referring to him as Butch every now and then, he opened the door to the bar and yelled, "You've got to help me. I think my mother and father have been shot." One of the patrons seated at the bar was Robert Kelsky, an out-of-work brick mason, and Butch's best friend. He raced to him, who had, at this time, DeFeo had fallen to his knees, and he was crying hysterically, and he kept pleading for help. He said, "Bobby, you got to help me. Someone shot my mother and father." Bobby asked, "Are you sure they're not asleep?" And he said, "No, I saw them up there." So he said, "Come on, let's go." Butch got to his feet and called for other people at the bar to follow him back to the house. So the people that did were John Altieri, Joey Yesvoit, Al Saxton, and William. Man, these Brooklyn names, man. And the owner of the bar. So 6 guys piled into his 1970s Buick Electra. Um, his house was only a block away. They drove frantically down there. Um, let's see. So he pulled the car in. One of the guys cautioned, "Be careful, somebody might be in there still." DeFeo, or not Bobby, or not DeFeo, but Bobby ran into the home saying, I don't care." Said the house was quiet except for the barking of Shaggy, the DeFeo's sheepdog, who was tied up to the inside of the kitchen's back door. Because the dog was not totally housebroken, the family routinely tied the animal there. The interior of the DeFeo home was just as impressive as the exterior. So, like, across the foyer was the living room, which contained a baby grand piano. Fronting the large fireplace was a pair of white satin cushioned chairs. Lavish paintings and statues were scattered throughout the home. So it was evident they were well-to-do. Bobby stopped at the doorway to the master bedroom and hit the light switch. Before him lay Ronald Joseph DeFeo Sr., who was 43 at the time, and his wife Louise DeFeo, who was 42. A hole in the center of the DeFeo Sr.'s back was the first indication the couple was not sleeping.
Yeah.
Dried blood had trickled out of the wound, disappearing beneath the obese man's blue boxer shorts. And I do have crime scene photos. I don't know if you guys want to see the crime scene photos, but I do have them. And if you guys want to see them, I will display them. But I am throwing the caution out there that they are crime scene photos. I mean, they're bodies and things like that.
I will say, Lori has a question. Did they test to see if he laced their last meal with something to knock them out? That's a very good question, and I don't think they did.
No, I don't think they did.
I haven't heard any reports of any testing of food or anything like that.
Yeah, nothing that I've come across.
That's a very, very good question, Lori. Kelly also has said, not condoning it, but punishing kids back then was way different than now. Getting hit with a belt was common practice. Parents had way more freedom to treat their kids the way that they saw fit. Which, going through this, I'm pretty sure Ronald does say he was his dad was a violent person.
Yeah.
So, I don't think it was just the simple, to me, honestly, I don't see spankings with a belt as violent against kids. I think that's a standard butt whoopings. So, that to me, that's normal. Now, obviously, if someone's giving it all their all and they're trying to,
a justified butt whooping is one thing, but when it's
beating your children is a different thing. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So they had that going for them. So, like I said, I don't know if you guys want to see the crime scene footage, but just let us know in the comments. I will put up some crime scene footage for you.
In some of them, it shows blood, the bullet wound, and them laying on their stomachs. Let's just say that.
Let's see.
It's not as gruesome as the Lizzie Borden pictures where it literally shows the dude's face caved in.
All mangled.
Yeah.
I could show the inside of the house so you guys get an idea what the house looked like.
Which was nice.
So this was the stairs. And the stairs looking down was actually pretty wild.
Yeah. Lori says show them. Kelly says I'm fine with it.
Okay. It's the master bedroom.
That door needs some work.
Yeah, I don't know what the crap is on that door. I wonder if that was after they sprayed luminol.
Ectoplasm.
Or something, or on the blood splatter. I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay, so we'll show some of these.
Hopefully YouTube doesn't flag us. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
This could be your guys' fault if we get flagged. Just saying.
This is the. If anything, they just won't allow this to be seen.
Yeah, and we can cut it out and repost the video.
So this is the mother and father in bed. Obviously, a bullet wound to his back. Mom's covered up. And this is his mother laying face down, and you can see the blood splatter and everything like that.
Maybe okay, so if everybody notices, each person was face down when they were killed. So, could that be not a defense mechanism, but a something for him where he couldn't see shooting them?
I'm wondering if they were awake, and he told them to roll over so he didn't have to look at their face while he shot them.
Ooh, that's a very good point. Maybe they all did know. Like, maybe they all did wake up and was like, I'm going to systematically kill all of you, but you can't be watching. So he probably killed his dad first, honestly, and then...
Each one?
Yeah. But yeah, Kelly, thank you. Same thing, ectoplasm. But, yeah, no, that's a... And I didn't even think about that either. Like, interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so... He finds the mother and father in bed. Hole in the center of Dad's back was first indication they weren't sleeping. In contrast, Louise DeFeo's wounds were not clearly ascertainable because her body was beneath a large blanket, as if she were protecting herself against the evening chill. Behind the bed was a mirrored wall, which eerily reflected the macabre scene. Seeing that Bobby was ready to pass out, the other men led him downstairs, past the life-size portraits of family members that hung on the staircase wall, which there's something about those portraits that we will also discuss on the After Dark show. John Altieri remained on the second floor and checked out the northeast bedroom. Clipper ships, cannons, and eagles dotted the room's wallpaper. On the dresser to the left of the door lay several statues and figurines that one would expect to find in a devout Catholic's home. Strewn across the floor were athletic shoes and toys, signaling the bedroom belonged to a boy. 2 boys, to be exact. On the opposite sides of the room lay the bodies of 2 young boys, face down like their parents. In the bed, on the left, the body of John DeFeo, who was 9 years old. Altieri could not pinpoint the bullet hole in John's back since the Knicks sweatshirt he was wearing was covered in blood. This is probably Matt, or that might have been John. No, that would have been Matt, I think.
Notice how he's not covered up either.
Yeah. Let's see. I thought these...
Laurie's wondering why shoot them in their backs and not in the head. Oh, I don't know who's calling me. Jeez.
It's YouTube. They're like, why are you showing me this?
I don't know anybody from Milan, Missouri.
So in the other bed lay John's brother, Mark DeFeo, who was 12 years old. Next to Mark's bed was a pair of crutches and a plain gray wheelchair. So that would be, where is it at?
So he was injured, apparently?
He was handicapped.
Okay. That'll suck.
Trying to find that one. That was Mark there.
Sorry for the picture distortion.
That's not us. That's
them.
Their development.
Yeah.
That's not a ghost either.
Yeah, it's not a Warren ghost.
So the boys were, again...
But a bullet wound in those specific spots, though, I don't think it would kill them instantly.
Right there.
Same as the dad, and maybe paralyzed, but I don't think it would kill them.
Maybe punctured a lung or something.
That looked too low to be a lung, but maybe not. Hey, and I'm probably wrong, but yeah.
Well, if you think of trajectory, it's not going straight down. It's probably going at an angle.
Yeah.
So it may have hit the heart.
Yeah, maybe.
Just
but if he killed all of them on, I don't think that all of them died instantly, though. I just don't think that's possible.
I couldn't fathom that either.
They would have laid there and suffered.
Right. So yeah, at the foot of his bed laid a crumpled up green and yellow bedspread.
Well, Lori, the dad and the son have the same name. They're both named as Ronald DeFeo, just one's junior. So that could have been what it was.
Yeah. Seeing more than he wanted, Altieri left the room and rejoined the others on the ground floor. There, Joe Yeswhite called 911, giving details to an emergency operator.
Yeah.
And that wasn't all the crime scene photos. If you guys want to see more, I've got. Where's
That's true. You really do. And I don't know the educational background of Ronald
this is
Jr.
Dawn. Yeah, this was Dawn, his sister.
Yeah, his
She
youngest
was,
sister.
again, covered up in bed.
Interesting. Wait a second. Were all the boys besides the one uncovered?
The two boys were uncovered. The father was uncovered. The mother was covered up.
And
Dawn
so
was
was the sister.
covered up. And then
Interesting.
Allison was also covered up. So the girls were covered up.
Her door's the same thing. Got the weird crap all over it.
Yeah. I wonder if that's from the crime scene investigation.
Yeah, so all the females are covered up, but the guys are not covered up. Interesting.
I don't know if you put this up there because I was looking at a different page.
I didn't, but it's okay.
You're probably thinking and just to answer this, you're probably thinking the dad did it because, like in the Amityville horror movies, the dad gets afflicted.
Which is actually not. It's the
Lutz.
yeah, the Lutz family is the one that did it too. But I was thinking is because the guys have the Ronald and Ronald Jr. It's the same name.
Yeah.
Yeah, fingerprint
yeah.
dust. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's something from the crime scene.
Which would have been,
investigation.
to me, that would have been the telling sign that he did it.
But the
What if he was made to do it by somebody?
so after a lengthy trial, wait, do you have anything you want to add before we get to the trial stuff?
No, I'm good. We went through the killings of his family, and he got up the next morning. And then I think he went to work, or he came home, and then basically said, "Hey, come, my family's dead," or whatever.
Yeah, because they
Freaking
did
wild.
say it was at 6 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. when he arrived at the bar. So that would have been after work, but in which he was actually, what was that, a carpenters union or something like that. So he was a union guy. He had a job.
So they were
But-
suffering overnight, and while he got ready for work, and while he was at work.
Well, I mean, they probably were already dead if they were still in bed like that.
It could be, but it didn't seem like a loss of blood. There wasn't a ton of blood though.
On the one bed, let's see, there was. It looked like it just kind
Yeah.
of soaked through there quite a bit.
That's just pee.
Somebody's got IBS, or not IBS. What is it? UTI.
Ugh. Anyways, yeah, no, that makes sense.
And yeah, like they even tore up carpet just to get
Yeah,
like, to some of the blood splatter.
I don't get the random letter being underneath the carpet though.
Well, it's at the right there at the door jamb. I don't know if
Okay.
the carpet was like over that or not, but like
Okay.
it looked like they were going after everything. That or it might be that letter or whatever's in that envelope. But like a lot of these photos, look, there's that dark mass that followed him. See it?
Shadow in the stairs.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just kind of jump ahead a little bit.
Yeah, we can get
So-
to Lutz's, I think.
So Bush DeFeo, so he was arrested for the murder, and the trial was a lengthy trial. It concluded right before Thanksgiving, and he was found guilty of killing his father, mother, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters.
Which his story changed over the years too.
Yeah, and he got sentenced 25 years to life. No other suspect was prosecuted for the crime. Officially, Butch DeFeo acted alone in the grisly crime. Unofficially, the evidence pointed to a conspiracy. And a lot of that information we're going to talk about on the After Dark. I don't know how much you want to really get into that, but
We'll see. I think he does a good way of explaining it himself.
yeah. I'm trying to weed out some of this information that we're going to be using on the other show here. Let's see.
I think we probably continue to the Lutzes. We know he was tried. We know he was guilty.
Well, I want to kind of get into the specifics with the rifle.
And that's all you. I don't know really anything specific about the rifle.
Okay, hang on. That's going a little bit into. Yeah, let's go into the Lutzes. I'll let you start with the Lutz.
Okay, so the Lutz family, they bought this extravagant house for about $50,000, right off the river. Had a boathouse, gorgeous, beautiful, and a lot of the furnishings that were actually owned by the wow, I'm totally blanking here. The previous family, a lot of the furnishings were still there, huh?
DeFeos.
Yeah, a lot of the furnishings that the DeFeos had were still a part of the house. So,
well, real quick, I just want to mention because I just looked at the picture. He actually did have a rifle. That was what he discarded, and that's what they found was the rifle bag and everything. He discarded it into the sewer by the lake. So that's the bag right there that he had the rifle in.
Yeah.
And he also dished some of his clothes, and there's the shell casings and stuff right there in the leaf pile. So, yeah, rifle.
Yep.
Just to clear it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes. So when the Lutzes moved in, they were sleeping on the mom and dad's original bed that they died in, by the way.
I don't know if it would have been the original bed. I mean, some of the other furnishing I can see staying there, but the beds, I can't see them.
That's what was talked about in the Warren video that I watched.
Ew.
Yeah, they didn't care. They didn't know. I don't think they knew about the murders.
There's all that blood on there.
I don't think they knew about the murders.
Probably didn't know about the murders, but
so yes, the bloodiness of the bed was probably gone from the mattress was probably not there anymore. But a new mattress with the same frame, the same box spring was probably the same thing.
This episode is brought to you by Febreze.
Right. Power of Magic Clean. Anyways, so Lutz has moved in, and it wasn't long that they started noticing some weird things happening, right? Mm-hmm. So, let's see here. Let me find. Boom. Okay, so... Okay, we already know about that one. Trying to think here. Okay, so I'm going to list off specific experiences that happened at the Amityville house. So, the family's experiences were described in detail in the Amityville horror book. Among those experiences, the Lutz family reported that George would awaken at 3:15 every night and then go check the boathouse. The DeFeo Murders took place at 3:15. The little girl, Missy, developed an imaginary friend named Jody. It was a pig-like being with glowing eyes. Then Kathleen would levitate in the air from her bed and received welts which could not be explained. Now Kathleen, that was the wife of George. So George and Kathleen Lutz. The home was infested by swarms of flies. Despite the December cold, green slime was reportedly oozing down the walls and the keyholes. Kathleen began to dream of murders in specific detail. The children began to sleep on their stomachs just as the DeFeo victims were found. Both parents experienced visions. George, when checking the bathhouse, saw Missy and the pig in her window. However, Missy was asleep in her bed at the time. Kathleen would see glowing red eyes as well as the pig. So just different kinds of weird things happening. Odd smells would be experienced down in the basement, including a secret room, which was donned the red room, and it was it was a very small I mean, this isn't really giving you a graphic design, but it wasn't a very big room, but it was just painted like blood, like a really bloody red. It was weird. So then there'd be phantom smells throughout the house, like bad phantom smells throughout the house. So they didn't even last a full month living in the house. I think they lived there for about 28 days. 28 and then they left. Yeah. Then they left. They went to California to stay with another relative. I can't think exactly which relative, but it's just wild. So then that's when the paranormal side of things happened. So Ed and Lorraine Warren, which they weren't the first ones to be called in. Somebody else was called in, but they actually got kicked off the site because he tried to get witches involved, and of course nobody wants to deal with that, at least back in that time. Right. So Ed and Lorraine Warren was called in, and they actually say in an interview, which I have some of the videos, and I don't know if you have it.
I've got the videos up here. So
perfect. Let's go ahead and play.
This is when they met talking about when they met the Lutzes and stuff like that.
To tell Marvin Scott at that time that there was no way that we could go in that home without an invitation and permission from the family, which came very readily. Mm-hmm. But realize when we met with George Lutz, not Kathy, because Kathy and the children were not there. When we met with George, he wouldn't go anywhere near the house. He met us at a pizza parlor and really? Sat with us and talked because he was so frightened.
Well, I understand that George wasn't really he was a no-nonsense kind of a guy,
He was
right?
really a no-nonsense man,
George Lutz was an ex-Marine. He was a karate expert. He ran around with motorcycle gangs. We're not talking about any altar boy here. We're talking about a rough, tough guy who, after 28 days in that house, fled, left everything behind, took his wife and children, and went off to California.
See, he was the type of person, Tony, that felt like he had to always be in control. He would go out on the landings. It was 3 stories high. The home is very beautiful. The interior of the home is very formal and it's very beautiful. Mm-hmm. And he would go out and he would take his fist and he would tell what was there, or command what was there to come out so he could fight it. Because as far as he was concerned, he was very skeptical regarding the fact that anything paranormal was going on. At the time that this first began, he found it difficult because of his background to even believe in a God, never mind believe that something of this nature was taking place. Mm-hmm. But I have to say this, the Amityville case affected our personal lives more than any case we ever worked on.
Really?
Yes.
How? In what way?
Well, it was to follow us home the very first day. The very first night that Ed and I went to that home, it was the middle of the night when we came home. And I had contacted many priests. I was fearful, but Tony, I didn't know what I was fearful of. I mean, it was just another case. It wasn't the Amityville horror. So I really didn't know what I was so fearful of. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I took with me a relic of a very pious priest, and I asked many clergy of different faiths to enter that home with us in spirit and to, their prayers to protect us. Mm-hmm. But when we arrived back at our home, about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, Ed took his briefcase and things that he had with him, and he brought them down to his office. Now, I got in bed, and I took a book to bed with me on the life of Padre Pio, the priest whose relic I carried, a man who I have tremendous devotion to, mm-hmm. very holy and pious monk priest from Italy, Giovanni Rotonda, Italy. And something about that cheerful room wasn't so cheerful anymore. It felt ominous.
So she said something that just kind of struck me was, she said Mr. Lutz was the kind of guy, he didn't believe in God, so he didn't really believe in that the paranormal stuff was happening. Mm-hmm. Well, here's an interesting little tidbit. Ronnie DeFeo Jr. was said to practice witchcraft.
Yes.
And they found a bunch of his stuff in that little red room.
Yep. There's actually in that interview later on, I think in part 2, they might actually show pictures of like a skull, a mirror, some candles, and like just knife. Basic signs of witchcraft.
Yeah, I've got a few others on here.
Yeah, the other one should be about the things that happened to the Lutzes, and then a couple more.
Yeah. But yeah, I just kind of find it interesting that Mr. Lutz had that kind of mindset and belief, or lack of belief,
You're right.
while DeFeo also was practicing witchcraft. I think there was a little bit of a tie there between the two. So,
well, it's also interesting. So I can't think of his name, but there was a the guy that built or had lived in that area. And there was a statue of him a few blocks away from the Amityville house.
yeah.
I guess he was a practicer of witchcraft before, and he was actually not excommunicated, but kicked out of the town because of his practice. Or no, he was kicked out of Salem because of his practice of witchcraft. And I can't think of what the guy's name is, but he had a little house on the same property that the Amityville house sits on. So that was an interesting take too. Yeah.
Now, I will say there's one thing that did get debunked that we'll put on here, was the fact, in the movies, the books, and everything, they say that the land was cursed by Native Americans, and that was Native American land. Well, there's never been any Native American burials found. There's not been any ties to the Native Americans in regards to that property. So that has been dismissed and debunked.
Yeah, I know the Warrens claimed that somebody told them that there was a that where the bathhouse was, they would bring their sick or something like that, but I couldn't find any evidence of that. So
no, that was.
I think they were just given the wrong information.
Possibly, yeah.
But I thought he was practicing Satanism too. But I mean, that witchcraft he was practicing could have gone hand in hand with Satanism.
Yeah. And why the witchcraft is and the Satanism ideas are valid or applicable to this case is because the reason DeFeo initially said he did this was there were evil voices telling him to commit these crimes. And while he was doing it, he also said that while he was doing this, there was a dark shadow figure that would go room to room with him and keep pushing him to do this, to continue. Yeah. Which, if that's true, could have been a conjuration from the witchcraft or satanic rituals or whatever he was doing, and not from Native American land. So the Lutz family, they leave, right?
Yep.
And you said they continue to have.
Yeah. So in the next clip, the Warrens actually went on to describe that they continued to have experiences. Not the Warrens themselves, but the Lutz family continued to have experiences at the other place they stayed. Yeah, only when they started talking about it, though.
Let me go ahead and play that clip.
To help us in this house. Mm-hmm. And we didn't even know how bad it was that day, but as she said, George Lutz wouldn't even go to that home. He said, there's no way I'm going into the house. And when I asked him at this restaurant where we met him, I said, Mr. Lutz, what happened to you in that house? He didn't say anything. He just looked at me. He said, you know. I said, I don't know, Mr. Lutz. I said, what happened to you in the house? He looked at me again. He said, you know. I said, I really don't know. I was getting a little irritated because I wanted to find out what kind of experiences this man had, but he was actually afraid to talk about what happened for fear that would happen again, because at his mother-in-law's house at Deer Park, when Kathy himself and the mother-in-law would start talking about what happened there, things would happen in the house at Deer Park. In fact,
because
George
of the
and Kathy
recognition.
levitated in that house, too.
Yes,
They levitated.
They
Oh,
levitated.
yes.
Both. They had phenomena follow them from Amityville. Now, Tony, we know this happens. We know that even ourselves, involved in research, that you go to a location where haunting phenomena is going on, active phenomena, and you leave and go home, and you give it a lot of recognition, or you listen to the tapes, and while you're still programmed, then
Something can come to you.
Yes.
In fact,
You know, I find it interesting, her words of terminology there, while you're still programmed. right? While you're still attuned to things happening at the investigation, while you're still connected
Right.
to that,
To the
things
past
can
experience,
happen in your in where you're at now. So I found that interesting that she would say it like that.
Yeah, because I mean, think about paranormal investigators nowadays. Like, you go to an investigation and you start having stuff happen at your home for, a week at a time or something after that investigation.
Yeah,
Could it be
exactly.
that whole programming? Your mindset still switched on to the whole investigating manner.
Dave, sorry, side note, do you remember the guy's name who did the interview?
I do not.
Okay, I'll find it. Give me just a second. You know, it was weird. After I finished watching after these two interviews on YouTube, I jumped over to Facebook, and it's like his name was in my recommended friend request section. I was just like, oh, and he was the first one too. So I was like, what? They're listening.
I'll do it here in a little bit, but I'll put a link in the description to that interview.
Yes,
want to watch that.
Absolutely. It's really good. I mean, it's a two-parter, and then there's other stuff too. Which this same guy actually does a lot of stuff with the Warren Foundation or whatever it is today. I just can't think of his name. Tony Spera is his name. Tony Spera.
Oh, Spera.
Spera. Yeah, Tony Spera.
Tony.
Yeah, that's his name. So.
And real quick, I'm gonna play the clip of them kind of debunking the Indians thing.
Yeah. Well, did you do the telepathic hypnosis, or are you gonna do the Indians first?
We'll do the Indians, and then that first part, the telepathic hypnosis thing. That wasn't at the time that you said, so I didn't.
1312, and then continue to 1350.
Oh no, I incorporated that, I believe, into another one of the videos. One of these videos, I think I just extended it longer.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. That's right in the front there. And we could see markings and so forth on the door. But remember, when he made statements like, we walked up the staircase, and this is the way they put it in the book. We walked up the staircase, and suddenly the banister exploded before our very eyes. Mm-hmm. Well, when we went into that house, there was no banister that exploded. Right. What they should have said was, as they walked up the staircase, the banister suddenly exploded through telepathic hypnosis. Okay. In other words, if we were in a haunted house right now, Tony, we might see that table explode, and yet a couple of minutes later, it would be fully intact. Mm-hmm. It was a telepathic projection to us, bypassing the physical eye and going into the mind's eye or the third eye. But they didn't explain that.
Okay. If we could have that next slide, and Ed will explain and Lorraine will explain exactly what we're looking at here. That would be
As we go through the slides, okay, here's the boathouse.
That's the rear of the Amityville home. Mm-hmm. And as you can see, this is extremely valuable property. Believe it or not, that home, Tony, was sold for $50,000 to this family. Now, you're looking at the boathouse right on the Amityville River, and up in the back is the house itself.
Yeah, but this is where the Shinnecock Indians had an enclosure.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's where it all started, with the Shinnecock Indians. They had an enclosure right there where they put the sick, the mad, and the dying. Uh-huh. Demonic spirits, evil spirits, are drawn to the sufferings of human beings. And this already had an aura.
Okay, so
he has a point there. The last bit he was saying is true.
About demonic spirits being drawn to.
Which makes sense with his family.
Yeah. But but as far as the Indian things go, that was actually disproven.
Yes. So, but I wanted to talk about the telepathic hypnosis thing real quick.
Yes, go ahead.
So, I find the telepathic hypnosis thing is much like when I'm not going to say a medium or somebody, when they see something in their mind's eye take place. Yeah. I mean, it's not them just, I'm thinking I'm seeing this or whatever. I'm making this in my mind. It's more of like a vision that happens when you first look at it or something.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what that is. So it's interesting that being a man of faith, he's able to break this down scientifically because his wife is a clairvoyant.
Right.
I find it so interesting.
I think that helps him kind of understand where she's coming from, and and vice versa. I think that's why they clicked so well.
Which back in the day, nobody was thinking about this kind of terminology.
No.
Like when I watched this interview and I watched a couple other things that they were saying, I'm like, wow, this is way beyond a lot of people's like time of what people even do today.
Yeah.
Like
Now, I will say, Hans Holzer,
yeah.
even got involved in this case, briefly, and on the After Dark, I'll kind of bring him up again, explain everything that happened around him. But I thought it was pretty interesting that he decided to get involved with this as well.
Oh, I did.
But we're gonna play one more clip here. And
Is it one more or two more?
One more. It's one more, and it's gonna be a couple minutes.
Is it? Oh, it's not Ed's experience. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it is. It's Ed's experience.
Oh, okay. Then you didn't get the last one that I did.
There's one of them I didn't get now.
Okay. That's okay. Just play it.
I got all of that you had listed, I thought, except for that
Nope.
first one.
Nope.
What's the last one?
It's the minute marker 24:17 through 26:31, and it says multiple things. There was multiple things in that stretch that they talked about that I was like, I'm not going to put a description. I'm just going to say multiple things.
Okay. While this is playing, I'll check to see if I did get it or not. All right, here we go.
Fled that home.
Now, the next shot, I think, Ed, you told me was the red room?
Yes, this is what they refer to as the red room. It's actually a cubby hole that goes in probably about 8 or 9 feet. It's about 7 foot high by 4 foot. But this is the room in which we believe Ronald DeFeo kept the items that he used in witchcraft. Witchcraft and rituals, drugs played a big part in the murders that occurred here. In the next picture, you'll see some witchcraft items, things that Ronald DeFeo had in the house and so forth.
Are those some of the items right there?
Those are some of the items there you see, and we know that this young man was obsessed or possessed by something demonic. He hated his father, but he loved his mother. He loved his sisters and his brothers. Why did he kill them? He said there was a dark form next to him that just kept him going. We call that a shadow ghost.
Shadow ghost.
And it was this here that goaded Ronald DeFeo into killing every member of his family. This is a large ceramic lion that Kathy had given George for Christmas, and on 2 occasions, this played an important role. One night, they woke up around 3:15 when they heard what they described as the marching band downstairs. They felt a heavy weight on their legs. George put the light on, and it was this statue on their leg. They thought it was their large dog. On another occasion, they were going down the staircase, he was, to investigate the sound of the marching band.
The staircase, I think, is the next shot, in fact.
And as he went
Here
down the
it is.
staircase,
That's it.
he felt something sharp on his left ankle. It was bleeding, and there was the ceramic line just a couple of feet away from him. But this is also the staircase where the green slime was found, which George would collect and throw into the Amityville River. But he thought somebody was sneaking into the house and doing that. Downstairs, way down below there, the foyer, when he would get down there, the music would stop, as he described it. But the furniture was pushed back up against...
And carpet was rolled, Tony.
And the carpets were rolled up.
Yes.
As though somebody were actually marching.
So that's the multiple things clip. You didn't get Ed's experience, which is fine.
Yeah, I thought I had, but okay. So yeah, there's a lot of things that went on there. Ed and Lorraine also said they had experiences there, which obviously is entailed in their books and everything, and is being written by the Conjuring universe. And
yeah,
but
saying that they've said that that's their most popular case or their most intense case, yet nothing has been, like, media wise, has been done with them about this.
Yeah.
movie.
Now the book was written about it. The movies, the Amityville horror movies, came out and everything, and those were mega successes.
We didn't even get to, like, them talking about the priest being attacked and stuff like that in the house, which is fine. That's other stuff that you could talk about, but
yeah,
I wanted to concentrate more on the paranormal side for this one, and then in the After Dark we'll talk about some very interesting things.
Let's give a little bit of a teaser with this. So, after the Lutzes had moved out, there was the book was almost immediately
Yeah.
written. And some people had some things to gain from it. But it's not just about the Lutzes. The DeFeo family had some shady history and some shady goings on that may have attributed to the family dying. And in our After Dark, we are going to be talking about that. And you might be surprised to find out just how much of the Amityville accounts were based on a lie.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's going to be interesting. Now, one thing we didn't show, though, was the famous photo.
That's right. So Ed and Lorraine Warren, I guess during one of their investigations, was taking photos and stuff. There's a photo that's out there. I think everybody has seen it if you're involved in the paranormal field. It'd be this photo right here. The little boy peeking over the banister. You might say, oh, maybe that's a cat or something, or, reflection from flash off of something. But this is a little bit closer up, and it's got a comparison with one of the DeFeo children.
And the Warrens believed this to be actually evil, that it was a evil being portraying itself as a little boy. Now, he said, what was it, Ed Warren said that because of the eyes, or the glowing eyes, that he's just felt like it was evil. I was like, well, the thing is, though, when you take photos of people, like, it's pretty easy for their eyes to glow red in some instances, or their eyes to just glow. So I don't rule that out, or say that it was definitely evil, or if it was a ghost. We don't know. It's a picture that looks like a little boy.
And it looks like he's wearing like a plaid shirt too.
Yeah.
So, and then again, when a demonic
like
is happening,
when the demonic thing is happening, it portrays itself as a kid or of some sort, in which fits perfectly. It could have done the sisters, it could have done any of them, but it showed itself as the little boy.
Yep.
So we don't know, But I will say the Warrens definitely didn't think that there was any good in that house.
Right.
They thought it was completely evil.
And we have to remember this is all started because of the DeFeo using an insanity plea and saying that there was dark forces in the home.
Which, in the After Dark, he actually says there wasn't. But so many years later, he changes his story again.
And we have video of his interview, and got some pretty interesting things that's going to come up out of that. But again, if you guys want to see what really transpired behind the Amityville horror, visit us on the After Dark. Become a patron member. It's a good time to join. It's the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
And over there, you'll get more episodes. So like every time we do one of these shows, we go over there and we do another hour. So you guys, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Maybe you learned something. But that's going to do it for us here.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. It was good to see everybody.
Next week, we don't have a subject yet. We're still working on it because
next week I won't be here.
Well, I know. I'm trying to figure out if we're going to do that. But
see if Koopsick will join you. Who knows?
I'm thinking Josh Hurd.
Or Josh Hurd. Josh Hurd would be fantastic to have back on the show. That'd be good.
Hurt my shoulder.
I'd try to tune in as much as I could, but I got to save data.
Right. I feel you. It'll be interesting. We'll see if we're on here next week. If not, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Deuces, everybody.